San Francisco! Are we ready to celebrate tonight? I don't know how many were here for the March for Equality, but we had about 5,000 people out. Were you guys here for the March for Equality? Well, tonight we're here to celebrate, and I'd like to introduce the organizer for tonight's event, Mr. Greg Casson. Hey, everybody!
I'll lose my voice. We won!
We won!
We won!
We won! We want to say thank you to every single volunteer, every person that came out to their family, that came out on the job, that came out to their parents, that came out to their friends. Every single person, thank you so much. Let's hear it for ourselves. I have an idea. Shh. Who the hell has that thing that's like a marching band sound?
Yeah, helicopter!
Take 1 second and take the hand of every person next to you.
Absolutely.
And that's right. There's no strangers here, right?
No
No strangers
strangers!
here.
No strangers!
So just for this moment, in this loud, what is that noise? So just for a moment, that we just remember all of those who are not here.
Absolutely.
All of those that are not here because of a largely ignored epidemic that decimated our community.
Yes.
And I think last night I prayed for all of the youth that we lost, that could not take the horror that it was for them going to school, being thrown out of their families and their homes.
Exactly.
We think of them.
Trevor Project.
That's it. Thank you, everybody. I want to start right away by introducing some of the planners for today. Not everybody is on this stage, but some of the planners. So let's have the planners take a look. Here we have the planners. Everybody give these guys a hand. These people are working hard. So these are the planners that put it together, and some of these folks worked on the March for Equality just a couple of months ago. So let's give a big thank you. Now I want to introduce so you guys can go if you want. Thank you. Out! So I want to introduce somebody who's a really important activist in this town and someone who's really made a difference for our community. This is a man who's become a dear friend of mine. He was one of the founders of the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. He founded the National AIDS Memorial Quilt, and then he planned the National Equality March in Washington a few years ago. Someone that has been a hero, that has fought for us, that was a dear friend of Harvey Milk's. He is one of the dearest, dearest people, though he seems a little bitter at times. He is actually very, very sweet. I'm serious. It's hard to tell, but I swear he is. Everybody welcome. Let's say, hey, Cleve. Welcome, Cleve Jones. Hello, San Francisco. We're going to party tonight. But before we do, I want to ask all of you to join me in sending our love to a great man who is ending his long journey. There is only one nation on this earth
that protects gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people in its constitution. That is the country of South Africa. Tonight, Madiba, Nelson Mandela, is in critical condition in the hospital. It is because of his love and his leadership that we have full equality in the country of South Africa. I would like to ask you all now to join me. Viva Nelson Mandela! Viva Nelson Mandela! Viva Nelson Mandela!
Viva!
I got here in 1972 when I hitchhiked up from Phoenix, Arizona. You think it's bad now? It was worse then. And I was mentored by Harvey Milk. I was here when the gays first began coming over the hill from the Haight-Ashbury to settle in this valley. I was here for the long decade of death and despair, when we kept our hope alive and we kept our struggle alive. We have been through a lot, and our struggle is not over. But today we can celebrate an enormous milestone in our long struggle for equality and social justice. But we are not done yet. Not as long as queer kids are committing suicide. Not as long as we can be fired just for who we love in 33 states. We know that this victory is incomplete, and we will not rest until we achieve our goal. Our goal is nothing more and nothing less than equal protection under the law in all matters governed by civil law in all 50 states. Over the decades, we have had victories and we have had defeats. And those of us who were on the front line often perceived great ups and downs. We saw backlashes, we saw surges forward. But in reality, our country, our brothers and sisters, our fellow citizens, and our fellow undocumented neighbors have moved forward towards acceptance and equality. But in November of 2008, everything changed for us. First, Barack Obama showed us that real change was possible in the United States of America. And on that same day, the young people, the young LGBT who had thought they were equal, got a slap across the face with Prop 8 that we have buried today. And at the end of that month, a film came out that reminded us older ones of what we'd fought for in the 70s and informed our young people of a history they had never been taught in school. And the legend of Harvey Milk went out to the world from Castro Street. We decided then to end this endless game of fighting city by city and county by county and state by state for victories that were incomplete and impermanent because they could be subjected to the whim of the voters. And we changed our strategy, and we set our eyes on Washington, D.C., and we demanded full federal equality. So we've won a great victory today. We have more victories to come, more work to come. We're going to pass the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. We're going to fully embrace transgender people and fight for their rights as well. And we are going to take our rightful place among the ranks of ordinary people all across the world who stand together at this perilous time for peace and for justice and for love. It is my pleasure now to introduce to you the president of the American Foundation for Equal Rights, the organization that hired Ted Olson and David Boies to fight for you at the United States Supreme Court. He was also one of the producers of Milk. He's my dear friend. Please welcome Bruce Cohen.
If you look up gay hell in the dictionary, it says following Cleve Jones at a gay rally. And yet, here I am, nevertheless. In 2007, I was with my dear friend Cleve Jones, Dan Jinks, Dustin Lance Black, and Gus Van Zant. And we were standing right here on Harvey Milk Plaza talking about how we were going to film the movie Milk. And an 18-year-old openly gay kid came out, walked past us on the plaza, recognized Gus, got really excited and said, "What are you doing here?" And Gus said, "We're getting ready to make the movie Harvey Milk." And the kid said, "Who's Harvey Milk?" And we knew right then that what we thought was just a film was actually a sacred mission to bring Harvey's legacy to the world. In 1978, as all of you probably know, Harvey Milk fought a hideous anti-gay ballot initiative. The opponents said, "Protect our children," and Harvey Milk won the Prop 6 fight. Exactly 30 years later, in 2008, we all fought an anti-gay initiative. Our opponents said, "Protect our children," and this time we lost. We have a lot to learn from Harvey Milk. And at the campaign headquarters of the campaign that night, I was there with probably a lot of you, with Gavin Newsom, with leaders from around the LGBT community in California, and I was there with a friend of mine, Chad Griffin. And Chad said to me that night, "We have to do something about this. We have to get rid of Prop 8. It's what led to the idea to take this to the Supreme Court of the United States. It what led to the idea to find our amazing plaintiffs, Chris Perry and Sandy Steer, and Jeff Cirillo and Paul Katami, new heroes of our community. It's what led us to hire Ted Olson and David Boies to take our fight to the Supreme Court. And it's what led today to not just DOMA, but Prop 8 being declared unconstitutional." Stuart Milk, Harvey's nephew, called me about a half an hour ago, and I told him I was about to speak to you, and he told me to tell you that he is sure that Harvey is smiling tonight. Harvey would be ready to celebrate. We are going to celebrate tonight. We are going to celebrate tomorrow. We're going to celebrate this entire weekend. But then, until every LGBT American has full federal equality in all 50 states, on Monday morning, back to work. Thank you.
This is a group of welcoming clergies. How many people were never ever able to go back into a church or a synagogue? Were damaged. So such a huge part of the healing has been a community of welcoming clergies, welcoming congregations to help create a place for comfort and for solace. And so I want to introduce this group of people. They've been a huge, huge support to us along the way. Let's give them a big hand.
Hey, San Francisco, are you ready to get married? Well, if you're ready to get married, we are ready to marry you as well. My name is Reverend Roland Stringfellow, and I'm part of the Coalition of Welcoming Congregations. There are over 250 welcoming congregations in the 9-county Bay Area that are ready and willing who've already been marrying couples, but we can now do it legally. We are so very excited about this day. And the other thing I wanted to say, many of our colleagues who are more conservative, some of them might be your parents or other co-workers, they might say, this is now an offense against religious freedom. However, we say we have the religious freedom to marry anyone we want, to welcome anybody we want, to go out and say, if you've ever been excluded from a church or a synagogue or any other religious place, you are now welcome to come in and get married. So we are so very happy to be here today. And again, please, we're easy to find. The Coalition of Welcoming Congregations, cwcbay.org. And now I want to introduce a woman who I absolutely love. If I were straight, she and I would be married. This is the pastor of the Glide Memorial Church, Pastor Ken Alibado.
Hello, San Francisco! Can you believe how far we've come? February 2004, I'm in my church office. I get a phone call from a gay man. He says, "Karen, will you marry me?" And I said, pastorally, "Have you lost your mind?" I could have done a Kate Kendall, I didn't. He said, "But Karen, they're letting gay and lesbian couples get married in City Hall." I said, "Have you lost your mind?" But now we're here. Now we are here. A new day is dawning in our land as we have moved closer to the dream of our forebears, to be a nation where all people are created equal. Not so many years ago, gay and lesbian couples shared a love that dare not speak its name. Today, the option of legal marriage, with all the rights and responsibilities it entails, is now available to every couple, no matter their race, their creed, or their sexual orientation. This day has not come easy. It has come at a great cost, paid for by the silent witness of our GLBT ancestors, living lives of quiet dignity in the face of hatred, discrimination, and violence. It has been paid for by those whose lives were cut short by HIV/AIDS, whose illness propelled an entire generation out of the closet. It has been paid for by GLBTQ children and youth who refuse to let the fear of bullying keep them silent about their sexual orientation or gender identity. It has been paid for by all those who have spent a good part of their lives working on marriage equality, whether in the ballot box, in the courts, or in the court of public opinion. To these, our heroes and sheroes, we say, thank you. On this historic day, we are reminded once again that love always has the last word. No matter how great the hate, how deep the fear, love wins. May we commit our lives and our love to continuing this course of love and justice, even as we celebrate. May we not get so drunk on the new wine of liberation that we overlook the chains of discrimination and fear that are on others. There's still so much work to do. Remember what happened yesterday. Remember the Voting Rights Act. Today, we saw the moral arc of the universe bend towards justice, yet there are still so many who suffer injustices and inequality. May the love and the joy of this day energize us for the long road ahead, so more and more people, regardless of race or class or ability or immigration status or their sexual orientation or gender identity may find themselves waking up to a new day of justice, of liberation, and of equality. Amen.
On this Pride weekend, although we have to wait for about a month before we can legally get married, if you and your couple and you and your partner want to be blessed and have a marriage ceremony during Pride this weekend, we're going to be partnering with Marriage Equality USA, and we're going to be at their booth to bless couples on Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 3 both days. So hopefully we'll see you at Pride to continue this celebration. Amen, and blessings unto us all.
And Sister's been celibate for 28 years. But I want to propose publicly before all of you, I want Bradley Manning to marry me. And marry all of us as we march for him, a true patriot in this country, here on Pride this Sunday.
Now we have one of the first couples to marry in 2004. They've been working tirelessly. They work with Marriage Equality USA, Stuart Gaffney and John Lewis. Everybody welcome them.
Our names are John and Stuart. We're not here to recruit you. We're here to marry you. How does it feel, San Francisco? We feel great! But pinch me if I'm dreaming.
I'll pinch you anyway.
Some weddings result from a lawsuit when it's a marriage equality lawsuit. But this is like the most joyous wedding reception ever! You are beautiful! Equality is beautiful! We are here in the tuxedos. We got married in legally in San Francisco City Hall 5 years ago. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary before the passage of Proposition 8. We're here to say marriage is back. Marriage is here to stay. We've asked you before to chant marriage equality now. That was a demand. Now it's a reality. Please join me in acknowledging reality. Marriage equality now! Marriage equality now! Marriage equality now! Marriage equality now! It feels good.
This is not a dream.
I'm very excited today because today we know more than ever before that this movement is about all of us. The thousands and thousands of people who are here in San Francisco today, who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, intersex, other same-gender loving people, a huge community of people. When I arrived today, I was reminded of how far we have come as a community. 25 years ago, the United States Supreme Court issued a decision that said it was okay to put lesbian and gay people in jail simply for the physical expression of our love for each other. And I saw a tremendously committed activist who was at the United States Supreme Court 25 years ago in a civil disobedience to shut down the Supreme Court for the only time in history it's ever been shut down because that court was out of order. But today, 25 years later, because of the hard work of the millions and millions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people, our friends and our families, we got what sounded like a pride wish from the Supreme Court today. Today, in their decision, they spoke of the humiliation that children of lesbian and gay couples face when their parents cannot marry. They spoke of the injury to our dignity as human beings when we don't have the freedom to marry. And they said, in the states that have adopted the freedom to marry, which California is now one, that those states have chosen to allow lesbian gay people to live with pride about who they are and to live in a state of equality and dignity. So I think Justice Kennedy and a majority of the Supreme Court have just said, Happy Pride, California! Happy Pride, California! Happy Pride, California!
Happy Pride, California!
And we are just one of those 18,000 couples that had the good fortune to marry in California in 2008. And now there are going to be thousands and thousands of more couples that will have dignity, respect, and equality under the law here. And it's very much in thanks to the tireless efforts of the entire city and county of San Francisco, and especially our city attorney, Dennis Herrera, and his chief deputy, Terry Stewart.
Thank you, San Francisco. How does victory feel? What a tremendous victory. A tandem of victories today. Restore marriage equality to California, and as Cleve Jones said, it's not the end, it's the beginning. And we all know that as California goes, so goes the nation. And the fact of the matter is that victory today was not just a victory for the thousands of lesbian and gay individuals that want to have their marital rights restored in California. This was a victory for lesbian and gay individuals throughout America. And it speaks to the best traditions of where protecting and promoting civil rights is, irrespective of your sexual orientation. And, you know, I got to tell you, 9 years ago when we started this marriage equality battle, and people told us it was too fast, too soon, too much, I made a pledge that we would stay there, we would stay the course, and we would stay to the very end. And in my office, I have a painting that I hung in my office in 2001 when I was elected. And it's a view from that hill back there looking right down this street. An empty street with the Castro Theater there. And over the course of the last 9 years, every day I looked at that painting, I thought about what it would look like with thousands of you in this street to celebrate a joint victory. And we can talk about the legal battle. We can talk about the political battle. But this victory is yours. Because this was about changing the hearts and minds of people, not just in California, but throughout America. And it was through your efforts, through your conversations, through your interactions with friends and families that we have made the tremendous progress that we have over the course of the last several years. Who would have thought that we would now have 13 states in the District of Columbia with marriage equality, up from 2 just a couple of years ago? Who would have thought that if Prop 8 was back on the ballot today, it would lose 61-32 here in California? That is because of the efforts of all of you. So I promised that we would stay the course. And if the proponents of Prop 8 want to go in and try and have some crazy legal theory to stop the court from implementing its order, the papers are already drafted. And I will continue to fight. And we will continue to fight for you to make sure that everybody's civil rights are protected. So thank you so much, and I want to introduce my Chief Deputy, Terry Stewart, who did all the heavy lifting. And thanks so much. Let's continue the fight.
I'm here mainly so that you'll know that there were women in this battle along with the many men. Justice Dennis has a really a team that's very diverse, that includes a lot of women, and I feel honored to have been part of it. I want to remember that 5 years ago we were partying much like this after the California Supreme Court gave us marriage equality. And it was so painful when the proponents of Prop 8 sort of snatched defeat from the jaws of our victory. And I feel like we have now snatched our victory right back again. So thank you for being our city, for being the epicenter of this movement, and for all the work that you've done, and for being so supportive of the work that we've been doing. I want to introduce the next speakers. President of the Board of Supervisors, David Chu, Mark Farrell, Treasurer Jose Cisneros, Sheriff Ross Mercarimi, Supervisor Katie Tang, and Supervisors David Campos and Scott Wiener.
There we go.
Hey, Scott.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Wiener. I have the honor of representing this neighborhood at the Board of Supervisors. Let's hear it for the Castro. And this intersection is sacred ground. Our community has been coming here and rallying for decades through the highs and the lows to celebrate and to mourn. And who would have thought back in the dark days in the 80s when we were struggling as a community that in 2013 we would be standing here celebrating this huge step to marriage equality. And anyone who knows this community knows that when we have our backs against the wall, we fight and we fight and we don't give up and we win, and we're going to keep doing that. So it is now my honor to hand the mic to my colleague, and together we're the Queer Caucus at the Board of Supervisors, to my colleague and my longtime friend, Supervisor David Campos.
Well, you know, President Chu was saying that the entire Board of Supervisors today is the Queer Caucus. So here are my colleagues and our amazing treasurer, Jose Cisneros. I want to take a moment to remember very important people. All of us know someone in our lives, a member of our community who has passed, who could not be here today to experience this moment. Let's think of all of them who could not be here to see that we are finally equal under the law. And I especially want to say, Harvey Milk, thank you, Harvey Milk, for what you did. Thank you, Harvey Milk, because your message that we have to come out is the reason why we are here. Because everyone in this country knows someone who's queer. You cannot discriminate when you know people. Thank you, Harvey. And I want to send a very clear message. The LGBT community, it's not going to stand for any kind of discrimination. We want to be included in every facet of this life, in this society. And we're now working on immigration reform. Let's make sure that queer people are included, that we have a comprehensive immigration reform. We are here. We are queer. We are proud. We're not going away. Thank you so much. Thank you for this great victory. And now, my good friend, Jose Cisneros.
Thank you. Castro, I'm Jose Cisneros, and for 8 years I have been your openly gay Latino elected official here in San Francisco. I am proud to be with you tonight the same way I was proud to stand with so many of you and Gavin Newsom in 2004 when we were marrying couples down at City Hall, and again in 2008 when we were doing it across the state of California. But now we get to stand together and from this day forward start to get ready to marry people in this state and eventually the whole country for the rest of time. Let's hear it for Pride this week in California. And now I want to introduce the President of the Board of Supervisors, David Chu.
I just want to say how proud I am to be a San Franciscan today, and I'm just going to be super quick, and I've said this before. As goes San Francisco, so goes California. As goes California, so goes the United States. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Get off the stage. Everybody say thank you.
Thank you!
I love you. It's like you went to Catholic school. Thank you. We have a hero. Number one, I want to talk about Gavin Newsom. Some of you are too young to know who the hell Gavin Newsom is.
Oh my God!
And I forgive you. I want to talk about Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is a hero to our community. Gavin Newsom put his career on the line, came home from George Bush's second inauguration and said, "You won't believe what's happening in D.C." He said, "We have to look and to see what we can do around same-sex marriage in California." And there we started. He lit a fuse. He was amazing. He started the movement, and that started the movement. He helped us ignite a new level of the movement. And Gavin Newsom right now, he's in Sacramento, and his wife is expecting a baby any day now, and I just wanted to give a big wave and a thank you, Gavin. We saw him this morning. Has anyone actually seen Gavin Newsom up close?
Sexy!
It takes everything not to lick his cheek. He's fucking flawless. It's unbelievable. I just scratch at him like, ah! But we'll go on. My next hero, equally gorgeous. Okay, we got a hero here, a queer senator, a guy so important that takes so many risks. He was the author of the first and second marriage equality bill in the country. The first and the second. He added gender identity to California's Fair Employment and Housing Act in 2003. Senator Mark Leno, can everybody say, "Hey, Mark"?
Thank you, Greg, I think.
How does it taste?
It is great to be queer in America today. This is a great day for equality, for freedom, for liberty, and justice for all. Today's Supreme Court decision further fulfills the promise of this great democracy and for our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, and as such must be treated equally under the law. Thank you, Supreme Court of the United States, for telling the truth. So, I just want to put a personal face. I'm sure there are many folks here tonight who are in the same situation. The overturning of DOMA strikes home for me. My lesbian sister is in a binational relationship. How many people know someone in a binational relationship? As of today, their love can stay in our country. You know, when we first introduced our marriage bill back in 2004, we had a big rally in Sacramento. Margaret Cho was there. We were celebrating. We were talking about all the economic benefits that marriage would bring to California, the weddings, the photographers, the florists, the caterers, the musicians. She said, ice sculptures alone would balance California's budget. And she was right. I want you to meet two of our great colleagues in this fight for equality. There from day one. My colleague in the Senator Leland Yee, please join us. And in the State Assembly, Assemblyman Phil Ting.
Thank you, Mark. You know, I remember when Mark introduced the bill for marriage equality in the California State Assembly. And what was historic about that bill and about that vote was that it takes 41 votes to pass anything. And on that day, on that night, at that moment, there were 40 votes. And you never saw Mark ever break down, but he was ready to break down. But we held the vote open. We held the vote open until we got the 31st vote. And that 41st vote came from Assembly Member Simon Salinas, the son of a farm worker out in the Salinas area. He carried that vote for Mark and for all of you and for all of us. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Yee, and thank you, Senator Leno. It's so great to be with you today on a morning where equality and love won over ignorance and prejudice. You know, my last job was as the county recorder, and I got to sign every single marriage license here in San Francisco. So I've been up on this stage a few times, and we've had our ups and downs, and I was talking to Terrence Allen, who's one of the organizers, to say, is this finally it? Is this finally it? Is this finally it? Onward to equality. We have a lot more states to go, but it's a great day for California. Thank you.
Okay, I want to introduce another hometown girl. Someone who's been working her ass off. She went viral this morning with potty mouth. I'm sure her folks are very proud of her. Kate Kendall, in her own special way, in the rotunda of San Francisco City Hall, took the microphone, and we were waiting for pearls, for poetry, for some beautiful, beautiful poem to come out of her mouth. And she says, "Fuck Prop 8. From the National Center for Lesbian Rights, Kate Kendall. Everybody say, "Hey, Kate!"
I am so happy to be here. This is an amazing crowd. I wish you all could have the view that I have. This is why we won today. Because you show up. You show up. You volunteer, you have difficult conversations, you tell people they need to be in a different place, you're honest and you're authentic about your life. That is why we won today. That's right. We won. And we're going to have an amazing night tonight. We're going to have a hell of a weekend. Damn, yeah. And there are no cameras rolling, right? And now that miserable fucker Prop 8 is gone, we can breathe free here in California. And you know what we're going to do on Monday morning?
Get back to work.
On Monday morning, the commitment has to be to our friends in Utah and Alabama and Mississippi and Arizona and Nebraska and South Dakota and North Dakota and everywhere in the country. We're coming for you next. We remember you. We are from those places. We know what it's like to live with stigma and to feel ashamed. And we're coming for you, so where you live will feel like where it is to live here. That's what we're fighting for. Thank you so much.
Hey, so we have a little impromptu performance. It is some of the folks from the Glide Ensemble. How many people have ever been to Glide? Raise your hand. It's totally worth it. It is totally worth it. You gotta go. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and a little song for you all.
Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married. Going to the
mama, loo, mama,